गुरु मूर्ति भेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्त देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम तत्सत्. So we had gone up till the verse number 51. That how do we understand that everything is Brahman? Because he's saying that the Karya form, the product, the consequence cannot be different from what is the Karana. Brahmeva sarvanamani rupani vividhani cha karmanyapi samagrani vivartiti srutir jagau. This is verse number 50, where he's saying all the namas, rupas, and karmas, all these three are essentially that Suddha Satta Chaitanya only, undergoing certain modifications with the help of avidya at the level of manifestation, at the level of our perception thereof. Fundamentally, there is no change. At the level of perception, there is change. So it has to do with how sharp is our perception, how well we look at it. Then the verse number 51, he is now explaining it further, saying, Suvarna Jayamanasya Suvarnatvam Cha Saswatam. Now there is a doubt. There is a doubt in the mind of the student whosoever is studying it. What is his doubt? You are saying Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, and you are saying the Brahman is the Adhisthana or the foundation of the Jagat, which is Anitya. Now, how Nitya and Anitya are kind of made to coexist? How can Anitya get a chance to exist with the Nitya? That doubt is emerging. He's saying, look here, Jagat is Mithya, the Sarpa is Mithya. The Jadugar is showing certain magic tricks and they are false. Jadugar is not false, as Thakur Ramakrishna used to all the time say, that Jadugar is true. Only Jadu is Mithya. Bhagavan is true. His Leela is for our Anukampa, to liberate us out of our ignorance. In this ignorance, this misery, this papa, this punya, all we are talking about, Vedanti will say ultimately not real. What is ultimately real? We are Siddha Buddha Mukta Svabhavaha. Ultimately, we are all liberated, but because of our Ajnana, we are trapped in a cell of ignorance and a cell of misery and self-inflicted helplessness. I mean, this helplessness, obviously, there is a train or a bus or a flight you are going to miss and you are stuck in a traffic jam. Is it real or unreal? If you are a Vedanti, does that become unreal? No, it remains real at that level. The ultimate reality has nothing to do with it. There are waves number 1, wave number 2, wave number 3, all that we see standing on a sea beach are neither false nor true. Water is true, fundamentally. The ocean is true. Even there are small, small oceans, the names you can discard. Ultimately, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, ultimately water. The names you discard, the truth emerges. Similarly, he's saying, Suvarna Jayamanasya Suvarnatvam Chasasvatam. Now, the Nityata, the permanence, you have to find in the Karana, the Suvarnatva. That doesn't change. Okay, you have a nose pin, you hammer it down, you flatten it, and you make a ring, or you make a ring or earring or whatever. Of course, out of nose pin, there's still too little gold to. But if you can smash a chain and then make into a pair of very good earrings. So one form assumes another form. It remains gold. So he's saying, similarly, now he's coming to Drashtantika. What is the point of our discussion? Brahmanaha Jayamanasya. Out of Brahman, all of us are born. Brahman is the only truth thing here, the only reality. Brahmano Jayamanasya Brahmatvam cha tatha bhavet. So we are all very, very temporary individuals. We are here for a while. We are born, we have become this, and we will not remain this after some time. Age we have on the age we find ourselves on the other side of the 50. At regular intervals, not immediately, but after some time, you start hearing stories. He left, he left. Wickets will fall. Nobody is dying here. Nobody was born ever. Ultimate Vedanta truth still remains. But at the level of Ajnana Dasa, we will have Bheda Buddhi, we'll have some sadness. With all Vedanta, there is a very old friend of yours who has visited you. You are going to see her off at a railway station, or nephew or a niece, your sister, your mom, your friend, somebody you are seeing her off at a railway station. You don't feel sad. While coming back, you feel a little lonely. You feel a little empty, don't you? What feels empty? Yeah, the mind feels empty. The self, no, the self is also there, also here. The self is just one. Your friend and you and this loneliness, all of these are established in the self, in the Atman, in the Brahma Tattva. These are phenomenal realities, aspects. The foundation remains unperturbed, undisturbed, like the water doesn't change. Names of the water masses change from Arabian Sea to Indian Ocean to Bay of Bengal, all that. Similarly, he's saying Brahmano Jayamanasya Brahmatam cha Tatha Bhave. This was what we had done. Now, he is now giving a warning. Please understand that there is that ultimate unity of consciousness, and this unity of consciousness is all pervading, ever present, it's everywhere. Now, by mistake, whenever there is some doubt in your mind, or because of some emotional pressure, or whatever you call it, you start taking your individuality a little seriously. You start valuing your emotions, and you start making some Bheda Buddhi between you and Brahman, and you see yourself as different. Our misery starts that moment itself. It is like this, that there is a water bubble. All of us are water bubbles. So far, the water bubble is aware that I am the ocean, I am water. The water bubble is not scared of course, it's going to get burst. It's not afraid of death, because actually, fundamentally, it remains water. So it says, I am the ocean, I am water, and therefore there is no fear. The moment it believes, somebody says, do you know you are a water bubble? Really? How many seconds more? Fractions of a second. Then it becomes anxious. Anxiety starts. So far, we continuously do our satsang and we do our daily meditation, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We can keep our anxieties, our loneliness, our frustration, our agonies at bay. It's quite possible that we don't have enough money, or maybe enough finances, enough power, enough name and fame. You don't have, fine, not a problem. There is some disease in the city. We had corona a while ago. We have all these highs and ups and downs in life, appearing and disappearing. They will not be able to disturb us so far as you keep asserting, you keep affirming that I am not different from Brahman. The moment you accept that you are different from Brahman, what have you become? You have become an individual. What is an individual is always powerful, always powerless, and vulnerable to all kinds of anxieties. That is how our misery starts. The moment we accept our individuality, that means we accept Dvaita Bhava, we accept Bheda Buddhi to be fundamentally real. Our agony starts. That is what he explains in the verse number 52 with the help of, by quoting from the Upanishads. Verse number 52. Swalpam apyantaram kritva jivatma paramatmanoh yasantistati mudhatma bhayam tasya bhivashitam. Swalpam api, just a little. You don't have to make a big difference between you and Brahman. We don't have to make a big distinction between we and God. or and the supreme reality. We just have to accept that there is supreme reality, there's God, and we are helpless individuals. We are looking for his compassion and stuff like that. What people in the Bhakti Parampara do, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says you have to do your Nishkama Karma. You are not ready for Moksha. You are not ready for Shravanaman and Nididhyasana. He advises to Arjuna, and he says that you continue to do your work and you focus on me. You continue to do your work with Ishwararapana Buddhi. Ishwararapana Buddhya Nishkama Karmam Kuru. Nishkama Karma Kuru, and how to do it and why to do it. Then you will have Antakarna Suddhi, do some Upasana, you will have Ekagrata, and then you will have Vairagya. You can do Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, the mind will stabilize, then you will ascend. But you are not ready, you have not done enough Upasana, you can't take sannyas, you can run away. Anxiety will keep staying there. It is like a person who has taken a lot of loan. He leaves the city. He goes to some unknown place. He changes his name. He gets another Aadhaar card issued, and he becomes a different person. He's a fugitive now. And the banks from where he has taken these big loans are looking for him. They will find him today, tomorrow. And once they find him, what happens to him? He's in trouble. He cannot escape. So he all the time has that anxiety. Similarly, when we haven't finished our karma, we haven't done enough upasana, if we run away, we start pretending that we have become jnana yogis. May work, may not work. Therefore, we need, as Kashmiri Shaivism and Vaishnavas and the Saivites, all establish Vishishta Dvaita Panthas. And I think that's very right there. In Sadhana Kala, they mentioned that Ishwara Anugraha is one important factor in our sadhana for having jnana. To have that jnana and to get the keys to Vijnana, we have to start with Ishwara Upasana. Even Bhagavad Gita also says the same thing. Bhagavan says that. But at the same time, Shastra says, you do all that. Bhagavan says you do all that having accepted the Paramartha Tattva. Vyavasayatmaga buddhi rekah kurunandana. You do that Nishayatmaga buddhi. That ultimately through jnana I will get moksha. These are my avantara sadhanas. These are my temporary odd jobs I'm doing. Ultimately, I'll be established in Jnana Yoga. And I accept Jiva Brahma Aikyatva. Everything is one. Ultimately, only God is real. I'm part of that. Appearing is different. So far, we have that understanding. We are free from anxieties. That is what he's saying here. Swalpam api antaram kritva. Jivatma Paramatmanohu, Jivatma and Paramatma, Ghatakasha and Mahakasha, the space inside a pot and that infinite sky, they are only infinite sky. Even though you are adding one adjective called Ghatakasha, the pot sky. That pot adjective is there, that doesn't reduce the size of the sky. Similarly, when we say Jivatma, it doesn't reduce the size of Atma. When we say Paramatma, it doesn't increase the size of Atma. It remains Atma there, it remains Atma here because of our Ajnana, Avidya, sanskaras of billions of births, and all that we have gone through. There are certain proclivities that we are experiencing at the mental plane, at the emotional plane, but fundamentally, we are all liberated. Fundamentally, we are all Amritasya Putraha. So we should always take some solace and inspiration from these Vedantic insights. Because there is a jail term, all of us are not convicts. These jail terms are just illusory and they are just apparent at the level of ignorance. So the moment you accept them as real, then you will be anxious. That is what he's saying. Therefore, he's saying, Yaha santishtati, accepting this. Yah santishtanti santishtati mudhatma. That kind of a foolish guy, a guy who is deluded by his own ignorance. Bhayam tasya Avibhasitam. He is now caught up and eaten up by fear. Fear of what? Fear of death, fear of power loss, fear of all kinds of things. Because he has reduced himself to his biological existence, to his mental existence, to his intellectual existence. That Paramarthata he has lost. Because now look at that Shruti Vakya, is a very interesting Vakya which is there. Yada hi eva esha etasmin udaram antaram kurute athatasya bhayam bhavati. That is in Taittiriya Upanishad. A very powerful sentence he mentions. Whenever you have this thing happening with you, whenever you have this Taittiriya Upanishad is 271. So udaram antaram kurute ut aram thoda sa bhi aram alpam ut, even if he does api aram, even a little, etasmin brahmani, in this atma tattva, etasmin, in this brahman, ut aram, a little, antaram kurute, bheda drushti he has between the paramatma and jivatma. The moment he does it, then kurute athatasya bhayam bhavati, then he is subjected to fear. Why so? Because fear has its roots in Bheda Drushti. You have some gold, you have some money, you know something, there is some truth with you or secret with you. Somebody else may know, somebody may take it out. All these are the fears you have. If you are on an island and then you are living alone and you saw God in your dreams or you saw God in your meditation, are you scared somebody will take it away? No, because that is jnana. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be stolen at all. Whenever you have Bheda Drishti, some duality is creeping into our consciousness, then we are scared of losing it. God is going to be cruel towards me. He is not considerate. She is not kind to me. Mother Goddess is not kind to me. All these anxieties I have. Then you go and sit in meditation, like Ramakrishna. He never saw himself as different from Ma Kali. Whenever you are in Bhakti Dasa, you will have some difference. There is a beautiful story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is very real. You can read, there is a beautiful book, Bhakti Schools of Vedanta by Tapasyanand Maharaj of the Ramakrishna order. So there is a chapter on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life in Puri. He mentions how there was a kind of, you can call it, he was like Jekyll and Hyde syndrome in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. On certain days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will sit. He was married twice. One wife died, he was married again. He lived in Midnapur area. So one fine morning, he will sit on a singhasan and declare that I am Lord Krishna. Very confident. And he'll be beaming with confidence. He was a very tall person with very long hands. Very tall, handsome man. And he will say, I am Lord Krishna. And then, after few hours, he would be breaking his head and he will be crying to meet Lord Krishna. Same guy was declaring that he was Lord Krishna. Couple of days or couple of hours later, he's breaking his head. So in Puri temple, there is a particular place. They show you in front of Lakshmi temple. If you ask where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to break his head on the Puri temple, they'll show you. It's a particular place where he used to stand. And he used to cry for Lord Krishna, for Lord Jagannath. And the same person after some time will be sitting quietly and he is not bothered. He doesn't feel like coming to temple because he is already Lord Krishna. What is these two things? Sometimes he's absolutely nonchalant about his mental existence as a bhakta, as a human being. He is only focused on the Atma Tattva. God alone exists, the devotee doesn't. That is no different from Vedanta. Brahman alone is true, Jagat is not true. Human beings are not true. These are all aspects, manifestations of the Brahman. The moment Bheda Drishti comes, where is Lord Krishna? He'll start crying for Lord Krishna. It's beautifully captured in many other places on his life, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these are all captured there. Now, he's saying Swalpam api antaram kritva, uttaram antaram karute, tasya kukurute tasya bhayam bhavati. That is in the Taittiriya Upanishad. That is what he captured. Now we will go, the warning is done. And he is now going to explain why at all a person does this kind of Bheda Buddhi. Why, if Brahman is real, we are not, Sansara is not real, then why are we sticking to Sansara? Why the Sansara becomes such a powerful truth in front of us? Why does it capture our imagination, attracts our attention, and we become glued to it? We get stuck with it. Why does that happen? He has to explain. He has to explain what is happening to us. That he explains in the verse number 53. Look at the verse number 53. Yatra jnanat bhavedvaitam itarastatra pashyati atmatvena yada sarvam natirastatra chanvapi yatra ajnanat bhavet dvaitam. Dvaita, the Dvaita Bhava, the duality, is a product of ignorance. That Maya. Avidya Upahita Chaitanya is Jiva. Maya Upahita Chaitanya is Ishvara. Because of avidya, because of this ajnana, when we do not do enough vichara to accept our paramarthata, then we accept our jivatva. I am krushoham, sthuloham, I am fat, I am thin. The Charvaka guys who accept body as Atma. They accept body, there is no problem because a person loves his body more than anything else. Let's accept our body as Atma. So, there are a lot of people, they spend a lot of money these days. The whole discourse of modern life or postmodern life is around the body is the domain of all your thoughts. 25, it was such a funny thing. Once I was traveling from Delhi to Haridwar a few days back, and there were two upper middle class ladies sitting behind me, one older and one younger. Maybe one is about late 30s, the other one is late 50s. So one is an auntie, the other one is like a niece. They are sitting unknown to each other and they pick up friendship. They're talking and disturbing everyone else, talking aloud. And what are they discussing? What are the places to buy what in Delhi? What are the places to buy good saris? What are the places to buy good kind of toiletries and all that? And then the older one says, actually I do my shopping from that one. The younger one says, yeah, but I have been there. And they're educating each other. Their wisdom, interestingly, the whole wisdom they're sharing, they're disseminating. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyonyam, tat prabodhanam. Vedanta says, talk about Atma, talk about Ishvara. When we are having a person talking to each other, talk about Ishvara, you get elevated. And they were talking about how to beautify the body, how to take care of the body, fine enough. Now, why that happens? That is what he is now saying. Yatra jnanat bhave dvaitam. For them, that alone is real. What is Ishvara? Kaun dekha Bhagavan? Wastage of time. There are two kinds of atheists in the West, or even in India, anywhere. One category of people are kind of agnostics. They would say, okay, honestly, they will admit that we do not know that there is a God, but we are not ready to accept there is a God. But can you deny? No, we are not denying, but we cannot accept also. We can neither accept nor deny. So God is an unknown quantity, an unknown entity for us. So we don't want to talk about God. We live our life. But you believe in God, okay, fine. We don't share it, but we will not fight with you. But there's another category of people who say we know God doesn't exist. How do you know? There is no proof. There are a lot of things there is no proof. Is that false? Like when you knew only the Newtonian physics, Einstein theory was yet to be discovered. Relativity was real or false during Newton's time. During the biblical times, where science had not made any growth in the West, was science real or false? They didn't know about it. Does it make it false? You don't know. Does it make it false? They don't buy your argument. They have their strong arguments and they would say that there is nothing called God, nothing called spirit, nothing called consciousness, and they're happy with it. What Shastra says? Ajnanad bhavet dvaitam. These dualities, the phenomenal dualities that we are stuck with, is out of ignorance. Itaras tatra pashyati. Then a person sees this world as different from him. Mera tera. Tu me me. All our sansara and vyavahara is all about tu me me, not as a quarrel, but because you are having the subject object dichotomy. I am this, you are that. I'm not like you. My system is special. I love that. I don't love that. All these delusional self talk, which manifest in our conversation with others. We are boastful. We talk about how special we are. He's saying, Itaras tatra pashyati. Tatra ajnana dasayam. Tatra means ajnana dasayam. In the state of ignorance, a person sees dualities as real. Atmatvena yada sarvam. Yada kada jnana dasayam. When a person ascends to the phase of self awareness, then he sees everything is Atma. That means the prapancha, which is a manifest reality, he is now not stuck with it. He's seeing the Atma Tattva everywhere. Then what happens to him? Jada sarvam na itaras tatra cha anu api. There is nothing other than him. He becomes sarvatmaka. This is a beautiful state, isn't it? Just imagine for a second. Look at the beauty of this insight. Forget about the jnana, whether we realize it or not, forget it. Let's just look at it as a piece of poetry. It's a poetic verse. It's a poet who has written this. Look at this poetry. What is he saying? When you are able to see the whole universe as the self, everything is you only. You know, in what is Vedantic love, if a person asks, one Acharya, very famous Acharya, was saying, Vedantic love is essentially an attitude. It is not an attitude of emotionalism, it is an attitude of self awareness where you see everything as the foundation, as Atma, and therefore there is no Bheda Buddhi, and that becomes the foundation of your ethical life. Then there is no somebody else. This is not mine and theirs. And just imagine, then you actually become an embodiment of Sarvatmakata, and that is you become love yourself, not a lover. You become the love because your life, your thoughts, your very expression is an act of love. In what sense? Love is a very inferior state where there is a lover and there is somebody who is loved or beloved. But when you are being able to perceive everything as one, you're only talking about an unified field of consciousness, which is a field of love. It's a field of unity. It's a field of identity, a sameness. Look at that compassion. The Buddhists flip the same thing and they say, Sunyata Karuna Garbham. Santideva says this. He says, because you accept you don't exist, out of which you feel compassion for everybody, because these are all appearances. To my mind, there are cousins speaking in a different language. We shouldn't have any problem whatsoever. I personally read a lot of Buddhism with a lot of love. I have no problem. What they call empty, we call full. That is the only difference. So, that Karuna Garbham, the mother of compassion, you say you don't exist. Yeah, as ego, you don't exist. As Atma, not only you, everything exists. That pure consciousness is everything. You call it empty, we have no problem, so be it. There was one guru, one lady, you can see that on YouTube. Somewhere I saw that on Facebook. So this lady from Puri lands up in Brindavan. He meets one Vaishnava guru and he says, I have taken some diksha from my acharya. He has given me Durga mantra. And then I'm already old. And now I'm listening to your Bhagavad Katha. And I'm a little curious about Radhaji. Even though Durga is my deity, what should I do? Because she is a Vedantin. She is from the Sankara Parampara. He is a Vaishnava. He is a devotee of Lord Krishna and Radha. What should I do? He talks to her and he says, I was also a Vedanti. I also studied Veda. I was also Sankarpanthi, and now I'm looking for God's love and I become a Vaishnava. So be it. And then he said something very interesting. He says, if I love a particular intoxicant, for that intoxicant is most valuable for me, and that is Radhaji for me. Everything is Radha for me. Without Radhaji, I cannot do anything. So I worship her. But if you have taken your Diksha from your Guruji and Durgaji is good for you, you follow it. I have no problem. Now you want to jump, you get into this mode of connecting with the divine, you take Radhaji's name, so be it, not an issue. I loved that wise kind of open ended approach. Because during our Vyavahara Dasa, even in the sadhana life, we have certain sanskaras and we are practicing a few things. Because of which certain modes of connecting with the divine comes naturally to us. These modes of connecting to divine are useful at a particular state of sadhana, and when you ascend, when you meditate further, you figure out, you come to the Vedantic path, you can continue to do your upasana, and depending on how we make progress, it's going to change. But he said, you have to accept Dvaita Buddhi happens become Ajnana. Doesn't mean stupidity. Ajnana means where there is no perfect Jnana. So in all Abantara states, where because of there is some Upadhi, there is some superimposition, some Adhyasa, then we have this Dvaita Buddhi. That is all he's saying. And that's well taken. There should not be any kind of conflict there. Now, if you look at this verse, in the verse number 53, there is another Shruti Vakya. This Shruti Vakya is like this. This is in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 2:4-14. Yatra hi dvaitam iva bhavati tad itaram itaram jigrati tad itaram itaram pasyati tad itaram itaram shrunoti tad itaram itaram abhivadati tad itaram itaram manute tad itaram itaram vijanati. Up till now is the Ajnana Dasa. There is Ajnana Dasa in this verse, and in the next verse, he will now mention about the Jnana Dasa. So, what is mentioning? Yatrahi Dvaitam Iva Bhavati. Dvaitam Iva. Iva means Dvaita Jesa, as if it is in twos and threes, as if the diversity is real. Why the Upanishad will have to use this language? Because Dvaita is fundamentally not real. When that boy behaves like a girl, because earlier days girls were not ready to come on stage to do acting. There was a lot of restriction and there was a lot of distance between men and women, and society was very conservative. So in schools and colleges, when they are doing any plays or something, any skits, mythological plays, they need certain female characters. And what they used to do, they would find out a young guy who would behave and act as a girl in that movie, in villages, even in colleges. They used to figure out, they used to find, not because he has to be a, kind of a transgender or something. They used to find a guy, and these guys were available to do that acting. What do you say? He behaves like a girl. He doesn't become a girl. He's married. He's a lot of Odissi teachers, Odissi dance teachers. These are male teachers and they're world famous teachers. But they play the role of Radha. That doesn't make them transgenders or anything. They are married, they are male members, and they are perfectly straight, masculine male members. But playing the role of Radha in the dance and bringing in all the nuances of feminine gestures, of love, of anxiety, of they do these abhinaya. Beautifully, they are able to do it. That example, similar example is given here in order to say that yatrahi dvaitam iva bhavati. In the Ajnana Dasa, whenever it appears as if these are all in doubles, in dualities, diversities, tad itaram tad tatra, that tad itaram itaram jigrati. Then you can want something else. Itaram itaram pashyati. See someone else. Tad itaram itaram shrunoti. Okay. Then you smell something else. Like you have this subject-object duality. There is a flower, you are smelling it. If you have atmatvena, we become everything is atma. Then where is smell? Where is male, female? Where is food and eater? There is no duality there. Tad itaram itaram pasyati, tad itaram itaram shrunoti. A person listens to somebody. Tad itaram itaram abhivadati, speaks to somebody. Tad itaram, tad itara itaram manute. And he meditates, thinks about some. Tad itaram itaram vijanati. Tad itaram vijanati. Ek dusre ko knows that somebody else is different from me. Then, the next half of it, which we'll discuss in the next verse, Yatrava asya sarva atma eva abhut, where everything becomes atma eva, everything becomes self, tat kena kam jigret, that person, then tat kena kam jigret, who will smell what? Everything is atma. Tat kena kam pasyet, who will know? Who will see the other? Everything is atma. Tat kena kam shrunet, who will listen to what? Tat kena kam avivade. Who will speak to whom? Tat kena kam manvita. What will you think about? Everything is one. Tat kena kam vijanyat. Kaun kisko janega? Who will know what? Yena idam sarvam vijanati. This is the powerful part of it. Yena. What is yena? By which? By which we know yasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. The light of which lights up, illuminates everything else. The sun illuminates everything in samsara. Who will illuminate the sun? Yena idam sarvam vijanati, by which you know everything. Tam, that light. Yena, by which you know everything. That, kena vijanyat, how to know it? We have this pancha jnanendriyas plus manas, 6, 1 antakarana and then 5 jnanendriyas. Right? You have these sense organs. Now, these sense organs and your mind, they are jada. In order for them to be functional, for you to see anything, there is something else called Sakshi Chaitanya, the witness self, that Atma Tattva, which is there inside. What is the proof? When we are in deep sleep, when the mind is also asleep, all the sense organs are absent or they are in a retired mode, they are in a holiday mode. We are still being able to wake up and say that I had a very good sleep. I don't know anything, I don't remember anything, but I had a lovely sleep. We are able to say that. Because we are able to say that, there is proof that we have experienced a good sleep. And who experienced it? Mind was not there, sense organs were not there. So they say everything is lit up, everything is illuminated by that original source of consciousness by which we know everything else. Who, by which organ you will know that? You see, the mother takes care of the children. They are small children, she's feeding them. If the mother falls ill, what happens to the children? They are miserable. Just imagine in a forest, there is a mother lioness. She has 3, 4 cubs. She tries to protect them from some stray lions who come and try to attack them. She hides her cubs. But if the mother falls ill, cannot hunt, cannot bring any food, the cubs will die. Similarly, the yena idam sarvam vijanati, by whose light you see everything else. Tam kena vijanyat. How would you know that? You cannot know the self. You can do only vichara and remove all the sense organs and buddhi and mana and everything. What remains is that pure consciousness. All tails and hands and legs, everything removed. What remains is that pure consciousness. That is the self. That vichara you will have after a lot of sadhana. But there is no way to know it. Abang manaso gocharaha. We cannot talk about it. We cannot use our minds to reach there. Yato vaso nivartante aprapya manasasaha. You come and you bounce back. You cannot reach there. The only way to go there, have it, is your hastagata amalakavat, as if you are holding amla in your hands. You feel it. You don't need to see it. If you're somebody, you just hold it. Even if your eyes are closed, you're holding that amalaka, that amala. You know you're feeling it. Similarly, you have that anubhuti. You cannot express it. And they say, they compare it, some beautiful ways in which they compare it. They said, you tested a particular recipe. Can you explain? You can say, it's very sweet to somebody who has tasted it. But there are a lot of experiences you cannot share it with anyone. This beautiful example given by this Oriya poet called Shitakanta Mahapasra in one of his poems. He says, when Yasoda saw the whole universe in the mouth of Lord Krishna, can't she say this with anyone? They will think she's mad. So she experienced it. That metaphor is kind of comparable to Atmajnana. So you will just feel it. You can't share it in words. You can't capture it. So he's saying, Kena Vijanyat, Vijnataram Are Kena Vijanyatiti. The knower of everything is that Atma. Who will know him? Who will create the creator? Who will know the knower? The ultimate knower of everything that we know with the help of is that Atma Tattva, is the ultimate reality, is the great illuminator. All our Buddhis and others are also illuminators, but they are shining in the reflected glory. Like the moon shines in the reflected glory of the sun, these Buddhi we have, our intelligence, our intellect, is shining. The original illumination lies in the Atma Tattva, which is in all of us, with which we know everything. That therefore he's saying that in the Ajnana Dasa, he's saying Dvaitam itaras tatra pashyati. Atmatvena yada sarvam na itaras tattva chanvapi. Anuapi. Not even a little of Dvaita will be there when you are able to establish yourself in that Atma Bhava. Beautifully done. That is verse number 53. We are done. Now let's go to 54. These are easy ones. Once we have done this. Now he's explaining, okay, so there shall be no duality when you have Atma Bhava. That means you have Dvaita Adarsana. You will discard this Dvaita Buddhi or accepting phenomenal reality as real. But is there any benefit? What is the benefit? He's explaining in the verse number 54. Yasmin sarvani bhutani ह्यात्मत्वेन विजानतः न वै तस्य भवे मोहो न च शोको द्वितीयतः. This is the benefit now. Phalakathanam. Yasmin means Yasmin Kale, Yasmin Avastayam, Jnana Dasayam, when you have Atma Jnana, because Atmatvena, you Ekatvena Anupashyataha, Tatra ko Shoka ko Moho, that will come here. That is the famous from the Ishavasya Upanishad. So he's saying that what is the benefit is explaining him. Yasmin sarvani bhutani hi atmatvena vijanataha. When you see the sarva bhuta jagata, the karya bhuta, prani jagata, the animals, birds, humans, rivers, mountains, science, technology, everything you see as atmatvena. Everything is a manifestation of that Brahman, the foundation, vijanataha. Navaitasya bhaven moha. Moha is that attachment, isn't it? And attachment, what is moha? The fear of loss. Ishta prapti, anishta parihara. What you love, you want to extend it. Idam mesyat. If you have it, let it continue. You have money, I should not become poor. You have beauty, I shouldn't lose this beauty. I should remain ever young. All this happens. That is that moha, right? So it starts with Dhyayoto Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate. That is the beginning. Adhyasa. You think about something, there is some asakti. Then you want lobha, then you want to have it. If you don't get it, there is krodha, then moha, all that happens. Then there is delusion. But he's saying bhaven moha, that moha will not strike you. This viral attack of moha, you are already immunized with this Vedantic insight, and therefore that's not going to affect you. Nacha shoka. Moha is when you have it, you want to extend its position. And mine, by mistake, it goes away. You'll have shoka that you have lost it. No, but you will not have the shoka. Why? Everything is Atma. There is no gaining or losing. There is no, you know, lost and found story. You cannot have that kind of a situation that you have lost it or you found it. That's not going. Yeah. Okay. So, can you mute just a minute? Yeah. So you would not have that kind of moha, and there is no shoka also. And why advitiyataha? Because there is non-duality. You can gain if there is something else other than you. Then you like to have it. You can lose if there is something which can be separated from you. So it will be away from you. Remember one thing, we always have this fear or anxiety that God has abandoned me. God cannot, as for Vedanta, God cannot abandon you. Why? God is everywhere. You are part of it. It's because of our ignorance that we feel abandoned. The beautiful example one can give is the baby is sitting next to the mother. She's sleeping. Mother is sleeping. Now the baby cries at night once or twice. When she is a few months old, it happens. Even up to 2, 3 years. They have what is called separation anxiety. The baby will cry. What does the mom do? Mothers, that's why it's all divine energy, because the mothers, despite how much tired they may be, unconsciously their hand will go and pat the child. The child stops crying. The child is immediately assured, my mother is next to me, not bother. The same child grows up and becomes 2, 3, or 4 years old if it's American and other countries other than Asian countries, where I think in Japan also children kind of sleep in mother's room till they are 15. India also, many parents, many children kind of stick to their moms. But in Western countries, after 4, 5 years and maybe 2, 3 years, they are given a separate room. The child is no more having anxiety. It's trained. The separation anxiety, it learns to deal with it. Does it mean that the child thinks the mother is dead or something? No, the child knows my mother is next room. There's a calling bell. The baby is trained. Any problem, you press this calling bell. I'm going to come. Whatever we and sometimes they keep an eye on the child. They have now CCTV cameras. They keep an eye on their baby. So they are assured. The parents are assured the child is kind of protected. Similarly, this awareness that your mother may not be physically with you, but your mother is there and she's going to protect you, that awareness gives you confidence. Similarly, this Vedanta gives you that confidence. Whether you are being able to see the Atma Tattva all the time or not makes no difference. You have become aware of it. You have become the aware of the presence of the divine. That itself is liberating. It gives you a lot of confidence. If we are able to stick to it, it's not easy all the time. But once we become steadfast, we become convinced within, then nothing is going to affect your behavior. Somebody might come and give you some literature to confuse you, but once you are convinced, there is no problem. Nothing affects you. Therefore, he's saying that in this Isavasya Upanishad, verse number 7, Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmeva Bhut Vijanatah Tatra Ko Moha Ko Shokaha Ekatvam Anupashyataha. When you have seen that ekatva, that oneness, Ko shokaha, ko mohaha. What is bhaya? What is shoka? What is loss? What is gain there? Nothing. That is that jnana dasa. That means two things now we know. There is a ajnana dasa and there is shoka and there is moha. And duality appears to be fundamentally real. Diversity appears to be fundamentally real. Tera mera, all that consciousness appears to be valid, justifiable. Then there is a higher level of consciousness and understanding. When we reach there, this part of the story becomes irrelevant. The difference between these two things, the Jnani and Ajnani, is two brothers are watching a film. Okay, now it's a some kind of a children movies. Okay, so there is a little girl who is running, and there's another person trying to kidnap her, and the little brother starts crying. Why? Because that little girl is going to they're going to kidnap her, and they're going to kill her or something. The little brother starts crying. The elder brother is laughing. They're both watching the movie. The mother comes from her study room or kitchen, wherever she is. What happened to you guys? Are you fighting? No, mama. He is crying. Why? They are kidnapping that little girl. Oh, really? He said, baby, this is a movie. Don't you worry. She goes back. Then the elder brother says, don't you worry. We are watching a movie. There is no girl here. It's a story. Then he switches off the TV, switches it on. He says, look here, I can restart this whole thing twice, thrice. I can show you. This is a movie. The baby doesn't understand. Why? That appearance is reality for it. Same boy will do it to a little younger boy after a few years when he has become a teenager. He'll also laugh at these stories. When a lady is crying, she has lost a child. If you watch this Mother India, very emotional, and you also start crying watching this lady. What's her name? Some I'm forgetting her name. The Mother India, the main character. So she's agonizing. You watch, you are in tears.
Nargis Dutt.
Nargis Dutt. Yeah, yes, Nargis Dutt. So you are in tears because it's so sad. You identify with her. And then there is a guy who is into some drama. It happened with me. So I had gone with a guy, and this guy was into drama, and he was saying, "Oh, lovely acting." I said, "I said you don't have any emotions." He said, "Stupid guy, this is a movie we're watching. Why are you getting so much emotional? She is doing wonderful acting. She's not the mother. She married that guy after some time. The husband wife, not mother and son. That is all about acting. That is the difference between Jnana Rasa and Ajnana Rasa. So in Jnana Rasa, we might go through life with a smile. We are able to deal with the vicissitudes, the ups and downs of life with a sense of connectivity with the divine, the ultimate divine. This ultimate divine could be with name and form and without name and form. And Advaita Vedanta, ultimately, that pure consciousness, it's a little more philosophical and scientific. So you do bhakti, but ultimately you also go beyond it. But you can also remain as Madhusudana Saraswati, who was one of the greatest Advaita Vedantists ever seen on earth. And he wrote that whenever I look at the face of Lord Krishna, I cannot be without crying. That was his state of love. Absolutely perfect. There's no problem. He was a Vedanti, he knew the truth. He also knew, that Gopaler Ma, he goes to Thakur and he asks, Thakur, I'm having this Gopal, this small deity, and I think he's my son, and I'm feeding him milk and kheer and everything, and everybody says I'm mad. Am I mad? And Thakur says, no, they are mad. You are perfect. That is also perfect. That is also a state of complete unity. So we have to give that openness and not get tied up with what is written here. Truth is beyond what is written here, by the way. And that is the beauty of Vedanta. So he mentions that, verse number 54. And he's explaining it further in the verse number 55. अयमात्मा हि ब्रह्मैव सर्वात्मकतया स्थितः इति निर्धारितं श्रुत्या बृहदारण्य संस्थया. He is now giving a bit of Shruti Pramana. There are three things always Vedanta gives to explain anything, and you please remember. One is Sabda Pramana or Shruti, then Yukti, then Anubhava. They'll first give you what is written there. This is a proof. Then they will give supportive argumentation, certain logical presentation of the thing as to why that is valid. And then they will point at some experience in your everyday life. You can also feel it. Then the student is pretty confident that he is not taken for a ride. This is valid. Now, he mentions now he's first starting with that Shruti Pramana. Iti nirdharitam Shrutya. With the help of Shruti Vakya, where is it? He's saying Brihadaranya Sangsthaya. With some verses of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, you can read it and you will find it. What has been found? he mentioned it in the Purvardha of this particular shloka. Ayam Atma hi Brahmaiva. Ayam Atma Brahma Eva. That is what Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says. Ayam Atma means the Jivatma, the Pratyagatma is Brahma Eva. Ayam Atma Brahma, Pragyanam Brahma, Am Brahmasi, Tattvamasi. In all these four Vakyas, there is Avheda Jnana. You are that. I am Atma Brahma, Pragyanam Brahma is what he's saying. I am Atma Brahma, he Brahma Eva, Sarvatmakataya. This Atma is verily Brahman, and in Antaryami Brahmana, this Brahman, this Narayana Purusha, whatever way you want to describe it, he appears as if he's everywhere. You can find that beauty as a, if you go to the Birla Mandir in Birla temple in Delhi, they have a room where Lord Krishna is standing. I like that particular experience. You can go there. So what they have done is, it's a circular room and they have fixed mirrors all around, even on the roof, and everywhere there are mirrors. The moment you get into the room, you will see thousands of you, millions of you, and you'll also see millions of Lord Krishna. And whatever Vedanta says in Antaryami Brahmana, that how he enters everywhere and he becomes Sarvaniyamaka, he appears as if he has become many, that you can understand here. Because they are different. So the Vivaranavada is exemplified by the experience of entering into that room. These jivas are different buddhis, and this Pratifalita Chaitanya appears as a different Krishna. Similarly, this same Suddha Chaitanya is Antakana Pratibimbita Chaitanya. It's reflected on our Papa Punyatmaka Buddhi. Same thing. Same water, the same sun is getting reflected in a pot full of green water. It appears as a green sun reflected on. It's a reddish water. It appears as a red sun, and so on and so forth. Sun is only one thing. But then you can ask this question for pratifalana, pratibimba, you need to have something external. And then the particular thing which is getting reflected has to have some physical form. How can Chaitanya be reflected? These questions are discussed in advanced Vedantic texts. These are all resolved. All these doubts are raised and resolved. You just, for the time being, whatever is saying that, Ayam Atma hi Brahmeva Sarvatmakataya Sthitaha. As if it has become everyone, Sarvatmakataya Sthitaha. That is what he is mentioning in the verse number 55. And here there is not much in the commentary, but that particular Brihadaranyaka Smriti, I can just give me a second. I'll just try to find out. Yeah, in the verse number 55. Let me. Yeah, so there is then the Ishavasya Upanishad, the sixth verse says, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanyeva Anupashyati Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Tato na Bijugupsate. So he doesn't have any hatred for anyone because he sees the Atma Tattva everywhere. So all Bheda Buddhi goes. Okay. And then he's saying, Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atma Vibhut Vijanataha Tatra Ko Moha Ko Shokaha Ekatam Anupashyata. That is the next verse which we discuss. Now, that Brihadaranya Shruti is the verse number 16 in one chapter. Yeah. What does it say? He mentions, he goes, what happens is, Dadhyach, there is a particular advice in the Atharva Veda, and it is given to the Aswini brothers, the Aswini Kumaras, these two people. Tad etad rishihi pashyan abochat. He tells them this truth. Rupam rupam pratirupo babhuva. This particular Atma, the Atma Tattva is one, but in different rupas, it becomes pratirupa. That means it becomes pratifalita. That one particular thing appears as many. Tad asya rupam pratichakshanaya. And why? So that you can distinguish one from the other. Indro Mayavihi Pururupa Iryate. Indro here is actually Lord of the Universe, not the Indra Devata. Mayavihi, with its Maya power. There is a Bahuvachana here. Pururupa iryate. So it appears with having 10 hands or even 1,000 hands. Yukta hi asyasya harayah satadasa iti. So all this is meaning ayam vei harayah, ayam vei dasa cha sahasrani bahuni cha anantani cha. Tad etad brahmam apurvam anaparam anantam anantaram avahyam. It has no inside, it has no outside. Apurvam, a child has a father, a product has a producer. Brahman is apurvam means it has no producer. That means it is anadi. Anaparam, also it doesn't have any upper. A man can have a wife and children. It has anaparam means it is neither karya nor karana. But sansar has become real. He has created sansara. We read, you have been telling us, now you are saying Srushti. No, Srushti is Vivarta. The theory of this Upadana, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana, which Advaita Vedanta preaches, it adds one word called Vivarta. It is like inversion. Like, you know, you have, you look at water and you insert a stick in it, it bends. It doesn't bend really. Simply sansara appears like this. It's a Vivarta Upadana. This is how it manifests. It's all pure consciousness. That is what they would say. Apurvam, anaparam, anantaram, avahyam, ayam atma brahma. So he's saying, so sarvanabhuhu, it becomes everything out of nothing. The same thing remains as it is, but it becomes many in what sense? It appears as many. Iti anusasanam. So this is what the Rishi had given, the Dhyas had given advice to the Rishis, and that is what it is captured here. This is the verse number 55. Let's do one more verse. Okay, we have crossed the time, so not an issue. We'll stop here and we'll meet again tomorrow. So we'll carry it forward. Any questions you can ask, or we can do the Santi mantras. Any one or two questions anybody has? Okay, let's do the Santi mantras, and after that also you can ask questions. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat.